One. Hello. What's going on, Zio?
What's up? How are you doing?
I'm doing
Back
great.
again.
So here we are, both Carlos and Zio, with Retalk TV and also Real Estate Movement. Today we have a special guest. Zio, do you want to talk a little bit about her?
Yeah. So the reason why we're bringing these live streams is to inform you of the process of when you're a first-time homeowner. You may not know the whole process from A to Z. So the reason why we're bringing these individuals, these professionals, is to inform you of the process so you're well aware of what goes on in the purchase process. The person that we're bringing now is a title. The title is very important. A lot of people don't know about title. What title does is she's going to go more into detail as to what you should know about title and what they do, specifically what things could come up in title. But title is very important because it shows you anything that could hurt you later on. If you don't do a title search, there might be things like judgments and things of that nature that could pop out. If you don't know beforehand, you can't have the seller mediate those things before you buy. So it's very, very important that you do your title search. A bank will not lend without doing a title search. So she will talk more about title, so you understand that. Her name is Ingrid Schwartz. She's been doing title since 2005, and she does New York, New Jersey, and Florida. So we could bring her right on, Carlos.
Sure. And now another thing is Ingrid is also part of Nest Abstract, which is the company that she's under, right?
Yes, that's the company
Excellent.
that she's representing, Nest Abstract.
Well,
so
let's bring her on screen.
Abstract, that means title. So a lot of people may not know that.
See, okay. Even I don't think I knew that. But let's get her on camera. She can tell us a little bit more about her business.
Okay. Hi.
Hello, Ingrid.
Hello there. Good evening. How is everybody?
Very good. Very good.
Good.
We're on the show explaining title, and we're all, we all want to know what is title, what things could come up in title, why do we need title, and what is the title insurance for, and what is it that it covers?
Okay. Well, there's a lot of questions all at once, so we'll take them one step at a time. First of all, I'm Ingrid Schwartz, and I work for a company called Nest Abstract Services, which is the company that will help you in your title needs. If you go to my slide, the first slide, you need title when you are purchasing a home. It is very important that whether it's in the city or the suburbs, you have to provide the judgments and all the liens and encumbrances. So your home is your home. Title insurance helps keep it that way, because if you don't have title insurance, you can lose your home. If you go, let me go to the next slide.
Now,
Okay.
Just real quick, when you say encumbrances, a lot of people that are first-time home buyers, they don't understand what that means.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over all the encumbrances and what that entails. But what I want to stress is that title insurance is to protect the buyer from anything that was attached to the house from the previous seller.
Mm-hmm.
So they're buying a house that was owned by someone else, and this house has maybe a mortgage on it, maybe has liens and judgments that are on the owner, and the owner has to clarify them and clear them before they can pass ownership on to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't investigate this, then you will buy a home, and if there are any liens and judgments attached to it,
Mm-hmm.
you will be then responsible. So what it does is title insurance protects the buyer from the past risks.
Mm-hmm.
In insurance, most people know homeowners insurance, car insurance, flood insurance. Those are all insurances that protect for the future. You don't want to have, an accident for the car insurance. You don't want to have a flood to have to use the flood insurance, homeowners insurance. Those are insurance that are saying, oops, please, I don't want this to happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
But title insurance is very different because it's the only type of insurance that insures for the past. Your house has a history. The house wasn't built when you bought it. It was built maybe 10, 20, and it's actually up until when the land was that is on the house existed.
Mm-hmm.
So it is something that it is recorded through the municipalities from the time the house was built or the land was there to now when you're going to purchase it. So everything related to the house is in this abstract. And that's why title companies are called abstract companies, because we really are taking it from an abstract source. So, which now you know, Carlos.
Well, what's interesting is what you're talking about is even if it wasn't the person who previously owned it, it could have been the person who owned it before that person, or even before that person.
Correct.
Now, another one question: even if it was a new house, you could still have mechanical liens and things of that nature. So it's always a good idea to do it regardless, right?
Sure. Yeah. Sure. I mean, the liens that are in that can be found during the municipality search, and you have to understand everything. As a title company, the only thing we can actually attain are things that have been recorded. So things have to have gone to the courts. It's not like, oh, my friend owns his friend $100 or $100,000, and they have to pay it. And if they attach it to the house, if they write a contract and they have this lien and the person does not pay that loan, then they can attach it to the house, and that would be a debt that be attached to the house. Let me go to the next one, because this will explain it better. Why you buy title insurance. This is why. These are the liens and encumbrances that can be attached to the house. Tax lien, if the previous owners hadn't paid their tax liens. Unpaid alimony, child support. Parking tickets in the state of New York, if you have outstanding parking tickets and you have not paid them, they get attached to your house. So before you sell the house, or even if you are buying a house, you must pay your parking tickets.
Wow. So for those of you who, you don't want to buy
a house. Violations are called ECBs, which are environmental control. That's also a fine that's attached to the door. Those are all the ECBs that are part of the.
It's kind of coming in and out a little bit.
So Ingrid, I'm sorry, you were having a little technical glitch with your connection. Okay. Can you repeat the last few sentences you just said?
Okay. Well.
Now we let you have parking tickets.
Okay, parking tickets. Pay your parking tickets because it gets attached to your house in the state of New York. ECBs, environmental control board. And that's when you don't leave your trash out and you don't bring in your trash can, you get a fine. That's what those are for. Violations can come in many forms. Also, what protects you with the title insurance is unknown heirs. If you buy a home that's in a state, or even if it's not in a state, if an heir comes back to claim ownership, you're going to need to hire an attorney to take care of that. Well, that's why you have title policy, because the title policy will pay for legal fees as well as any judgments that may come against you by the court. So you don't have to worry about that. If there's ever a question whether it's a somebody truly coming to take your home away, or somebody that's making a false claim, you still would have to get an attorney. And this way, with the title insurance, we will pay for the attorneys. And again, if any claims, a lot of fraud, unfortunately, is happening now. I'm sure you hear it on the TV and in the radio, protect your deed and make sure, because the number one white collar fraud right now is deed fraud.
Wow. So
having title insurance will protect that as well. Mm-hmm. There's no such thing as really buying a home without title insurance, because you're doing a disservice to yourself. At that point, you may not have ownership of the house at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Fraudulent transactions and also recording errors. There have been times that, homes who have not been recorded properly. It's errors that happen. People are human, and unfortunately, that can create a big problem if you have an error of recording. So these are reasons why you need to buy title insurance, because this is what it's going to be protecting you.
Mm-hmm. And some of the things. So, for instance, there's a lot of people that are doing investments, fix and flip. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they buy a house and they don't even know that there's other things previous with the person who actually had to sell their home because of an issue of financial issues or whatever issues. They may not even know that those things are still in the house, or they're going to come up in the house because they own it for
correct.
so
So they
time. So it's very important to know.
Well, if I may add another example, if someone in the previous household, sometimes houses go for sale because the owner of the house passed away, and they think that there's no family members that are the next heirs. So at that point, they get either auctioned off or sold off or whatever. And then 10 years later, that heir shows up saying, hey, where's my great aunt's house? And since they might be the next heir, they make a claim. And if you didn't have that insurance, that person, even though 10 years of your payments go by, it could just all of a sudden be handed over to them.
Right. You have to pay. That's why we pay not only legal fees, but if there is a claim, then that claim would be taken care of. I know that I had an instance where there was a son that was not known by the family and who came looking for his family, later in life. Turns out that their father had passed away. The house was there. He had 3 siblings. His father had 3 siblings with his wife. And when it was time, he realized that he could be an heir to his father's estate, and he put a claim in. And he was entitled to it because he took the blood test and the paternity test, and it proved that he was a son, an heir. So it's something that we would have never caught or known about it as a title company because, it was never recorded. So it's very important that you have this. Another thing is you have mechanic liens. Mechanic liens is if the owner has hired a contractor to do some work on their house, and then they hire a subcontractor and decide not to pay that subcontractor. That subcontractor will sue you as the homeowner. They're not going to sue the contractor.
Okay, so Ingrid, I don't know if you can hear us, but your connection is frozen.
Hired, you're going to sue the homeowner and the home contractor.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Did you get that?
No.
Yeah, no, because
yes, I can hear you.
Your connection's a little. It wasn't coming in and out. It was pretty.
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. So if you can go back a few sentences, we can kind of make sure we get your information.
Right. Now, what was I saying?
Mechanic lien, they're not gonna.
Okay, right. A mechanic liens is a lien on a work that's been done to your house. If you decide not to pay the contractor and he can't pay his subcontractors, that is a lien that they can put on your house. So when you go to sell your home, you will need to pay that penalty or that the cost of the job that you agreed to as you had agreed to it. You cannot not pay it. And even if you pay the contractor and the contract doesn't pay his subcontract, the court feels that you've hired somebody to do that. So they weren't responsible to do that. That's not the subcontractor's fault. And they're going to charge you for it, the homeowner. So you have to be very careful as a homeowner who you hired when you're doing contract work, because that could be a very costly endeavor. So those are the ways that why you need title insurance, because those are the things that we investigate. Those are the things that we look for, that we go through all the federal, state, city, Hampton, municipalities, all the federal governments. We make sure that we go through all the counties, making sure there's nothing attached to the home. And the other thing that we do is that we also investigate the homeowners and the seller. I mean, we do a Patriarch search on everybody, which is now mandatory since 2011. Making sure that you're not on the terrorist list. That's what that's for. And the other thing is that we also do a bankruptcy search on all the parties involved. That's to make sure that if you are in a bankruptcy or were in a bankruptcy in very short period of time, that would show up. I mean, those are things that have to be done. And it's not only attached to the house, but it's attached to the person. So let me go on to the.
There's also things that would show up as far as if somebody's doing something that's not legal, and they're trying to sell you a home that it's not the legal way, or something hasn't been done legally. It'll come up too.
Yeah. We had, I think it was about a year and a half ago, there was some selling home in Long Island. One was absolutely in Freeport. And what they did is it was a quick claim deed. They had the home mortgage, everything. They never did title. And 6 months later, the woman found out that the person who sold them the house was not theirs. And since she didn't do title, basically they kicked her out of the house and she lost all her money. And, so the deal seems to be too good to be true. More than likely it is.
Yes.
So it's a shame. I mean, and it was the grandmother with 2 kids, but they found that 6 or 7 homes between Nassau and Suffolk County that he had sold that did not belong to him.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you see an ad, then they're telling you it's a $50,000 home or 100, and the area there, it doesn't really go with the area prices. It's probably something that you need to investigate further. And you definitely do not want to buy a home without having title insurance. Even if you're buying cash, reach out to somebody like Ingrid and ask for a title insurance because you could get it yourself. Just know when you're doing a mortgage, bank is not going to do it without a title insurance. That's always a go. But if you're buying a home and you're putting your hard-earned money into buying this home cash, you need to get title insurance.
Yeah, no, it's very important that anybody who's purchasing a home, I don't know an attorney who would actually represent you, and New York State is an attorney state that would represent you without getting title insurance. And what I want you to understand is that there's 2 types of policies that you purchase at the time of you purchasing your home at the closing. The first one is your homeowner's insurance, and that homeowner's insurance is going to protect you from anything that the seller had attached to the house and make sure that it's covered. It covers you for any damages or anything that would appear that we didn't find. The homeowner's insurance is the price is based on location and whether it's a 1 to 4 family or it's commercial. So a lot of the basis of the policy itself, the cost of it is regulated by the state. And again, we need to know the purchase price as well as the location. And then basically we put this information in and they tell us what we should be charging. It's very highly regulated. It's not really a number that you can play with. So, it's something that you should know that that's the cost should be just that. And then the second type of policy that you purchased at the time is, of course, if you're buying a home, you want it to reflect the amount. Let's say you're buying a $500,000 home, you want it to be for $500,000. Your lender is giving you a mortgage of $450,000. They also need to be protected because if they do not have the protection just like you do, whoever is suing you will also be suing your lender. So they need to be protected. So you, at the time of your purchase, you'll be taking 2 policies: the owner's policy, which is for yourself, and the lender's policy. Mm-hmm. And the owner's policy, what you should know is that the owner's policy is a one-time fee. Okay. It is only done at the time that you close the house. So it's not something like you're used to with car insurance, flood insurance, homeowners insurance, that every year you have to pay a premium. That's not the same with title insurance. Title insurance is a one-time fee for the homeowner. Now, we were talking about refinancing before. When you're purchasing, you're getting a refi, you need title insurance again, but that title insurance is for the lender. So even if you have the same lender with the same loan amount, you still need to do a whole new title report and title search to make sure that you yourself haven't overextended your debt on the house so you can get the mortgage. So whether you're using your existing loan officer or you're getting a new loan officer, you will always need to get title insurance at the time of refinancing. Mm-hmm. And what you also know is that in the state of New York, the RESPA law dictates that the buyer is the one who can choose their title company. And it really amazes me because I would say 90% of first-time home buyers have no idea what title insurance is. Their attorney for the most part, talk about it very obscurely, and it really is important for the client to understand what title insurance is, because this is what's protecting your biggest asset. You've just bought, your most valuable asset that you have, and what is protecting that is title insurance. And it really sometimes blows my mind how attorneys give it such little attention to the client, because if there is that knock on the door saying, I own your home, most people would go like, what am I supposed to do? And it's very simple. You have your title policy. On that policy, you have your underwriter, and you just call your underwriter, give them the title policy, and give them all the information, and they will handle it all. So that's, you don't have to worry about it. They'll give you updates. The attorneys that they hire are excellent. As a matter of fact, one of the attorneys that I work with actually represents the underwriters for home buyers. Though the underwriter is paying his fee, he still has to answer to the home buyer. So it's not like because the underwriter is paying the fee, they're not going to communicate with the homeowners. No, the attorney is hired for the homeowner. So they will go to court for the benefit of the homeowner. And if they happen to not lose because it was, an error in recording or whatever, then they will be able to get that judgment and pay the fine, and you're done. And you won't, not a penny will come out of your own pocket. And that's what I'm telling you. It's so crazy to know the importance of this particular insurance that really nobody knows about.
Yeah.
I mean, my story is that I just want to say something quickly. I want to say that my story is I started with title because I had bought 2 properties prior, and no one ever told me about title insurance. And when I bought my 3rd property, it was a very good friend, and she said to me, this is something I think you'd be interested in. And she explained to me what title insurance is. And I said, it was amazing. It wasn't my first or second property. It was my 3rd property. It was the first time that I had an attorney explain it to me. And it just blew my mind because it's such a crucial part. And especially now with computers that, the county clerk's records are available to anybody knows how to work it. And if you have somebody who's cynical or somebody who wants to do the wrong thing, it's there, and they know how to do it. When you want to do something bad, they figure out a way. And unfortunately, this is one of those areas that you have to be more informed about and understand it, not just leave it to the attorney. You really should know about it. So let me go to my.
It's very similar. It's very similar to the title of the car, where if you still owe the bank, the car is technically not all yours. But once you own the car, they send you a certificate, basically a document that says you are the rightful owner of this car. Well, the title of a home is pretty much similar in that it basically says, look, this is the person that owns this, and this is the proof.
And this is the proof. All is recorded in the county clerk's records with, social security numbers and dates and everything. So it's all legal. So everybody knows they're in the same, where they stand, which is really important. And, it just, like I said, it amazes me. And I always ask this, people always ask me, when do the attorneys order title insurance? And it seems that attorneys have 2 thoughts on these ideas. And I'll describe both of them, and I'll tell you why I prefer one to the other. Some attorneys prefer to order title when the bank commitments has come through.
Yes.
And that's great because that is, the bank commitments actually just qualifies the client as they're actually going to be purchasing this property, and everything is ready to go. And then the other attorneys which feel that when the contract is fully executed, when both parties, the buyer and the seller, have signed, that's when to order title. Now, for me, that is really the best way to go, because when we do a title report, it takes about 5 to 7 days to get everything done. And now remember, we had the closures of the municipalities. It's taking a little longer now in certain counties. So you want to get as much information as soon as possible, because if there is an issue that has to be addressed, you'd rather know it 2 weeks ahead of time than 2 weeks later, because it's going to take that much longer. With title, when you do it, we get all the searches on all the issues that are third party own. Like I spoke before about the mortgages, the ECBs, the parking tickets. We get all that information and put it in a title report that your attorney reads. The other thing the title company does is what we do, departmentals. And those are the searches of COs, which are the certificate of occupancies. And a lot of people have done bathrooms or have done enclosed porch or put a deck out that they never got COs for.
Yes.
And that is very important, especially if you have a listing agent, to know about this, because that could take time. We as a title company, and I have to stress this because people don't understand this, we as a title company do not insure COs. So a CO is on, and may or may not have to be fixed, because what it is they have to make sure that you put it up to compliance to the town's ordinance. And if you have a deck and you enclosed it and you don't have the right specs that conforms to the town ordinance, you may have to tear down that structure, and or you may not have to. All you have to do is maybe change the outlets where they go. Every town, of course, has its different ordinance, so you have to make sure that it's up to date. So as a title company, we don't guarantee COs, because it's really not a third party that we owe money to. It really is, the cost of that is to replace it and put it up to standards, up to code. And that could be $50. It could be $50,000. It depends on what it is that the homeowner has. I like to give an example of a friend of mine that bought a house that had 6 open permits. 3 of them had closed and 3 were open. His attorney never told him about the 3 open ones. The seller's attorney never said anything, because it doesn't behoove him to tell him that, because he would have had to fix that issue before he sold the house. So now my attorney, my friend goes and buys the house. A month later, he wants to put a fence in, and they said, you have 3 open permits. You can't do that till you close these permits. And he calls me up and goes, "Oh my God, you didn't tell me." I said, "Wait a minute." I took out the title report. I sent it to him. It was in the title report. It's not my job as a title company to tell you, because we're not insuring it, but your attorney is the person who has to disclose that to you. And it ended up costing $5,000 to close those open permits, and then he was able to put his fence in. But that was something, again, with not having the correct guidance. He did not get the attorney from me, because I have very good attorneys that I work with. But you have to have an attorney, I believe, that really does only real estate. I can't stress enough how, there are attorneys that, multitask, and that's great. Everybody has to make a living, but you really, for the most part, want to work with an attorney that his first, responsibility and his first job is really, and his first love is real estate. Because if you have an attorney that's going to court, or if you have an attorney that's going to, who has different other clients, real estate may not be his main source. So it's like the icing on the cake. So he may not take the time to really address certain things. So I can't stress enough that really a real estate attorney is so important when you're doing real estate closings.
Yes. And then some attorneys don't order it before the commitment, only because sometimes they get stuck with having to pay for the title if it doesn't close.
Right. There is a cost. No, there is a cost. When we do these searches, there's a cost to the title company. And if the deal falls through at that, it's a cost. So, the way I see it with my company, we like to do it as soon as it's, both parties have signed, because we want to know as soon as possible what needs to be done, because our goal, like everybody's goal, is to close. I mean, nobody makes any money unless we close. Not the attorney, not the mortgage broker, not the title, no one, not the realtors. So our goal and everybody's goal should be to close.
Yeah.
So it's always good if you work with a team of people that know each other, that we can all work together, close things, and get things done quickly. Because, the state of New York is tough. 45 days to 60 days to close, that's a long time. My son just bought a house in Pennsylvania, and within 3 weeks he closed. I was going to get an attorney, because I thought, and then we should have gotten an attorney, by the way, But New York is an attorney state. Most states are not. New York and Northern New Jersey are attorney states. So you must have an attorney to do a real estate transaction. But you don't have that in the rest of the country. And I ended up costing me, after my son closed, another $1,200 because the title company, which it was not mine because I don't do Pennsylvania, didn't collect the right amount of money. And I should have not paid it, but at the same time, my son was like very nervous about everything. So knowing, is very important.
Yeah, and that's why we're bringing these because sometimes the attorneys, they're busy. They really don't make the big bulk of the transaction, and they're busy taking care of other clients, and they don't really have the time to sit down and go over everything in detail. So it is your responsibility to know before you go out and buy. It's good to get as much information as you can about.
I have to say, I work with a lot of really, really good attorneys that explain everything that go over. That's why, I'm really happy of the team that we've put together.
Yeah,
because
some would.
You need that. And, sometimes I find the clients that they're kind of afraid of their attorney, and they're really the ones who should be in command. I mean, as a title, for myself, I never meet the end user. I mean, the client, the buyer, I don't know who they are because the person who orders title usually is the attorney. So, but now that you're an educated individual, you get a preliminary title bill, and you're able to you're able to know what your costs are going to be right at the very beginning. A preliminary title bill, we can do the minute that you say that you want to look at this house and you know what your mortgage amount is. We can give you a preliminary title bill of what it's going to cost you as a closing cost, because closing costs are high. I mean, buying a $500,000 home, you're talking about $20,000, $18,000 to $20,000, and everybody says, "Oh my God, how much?" and so much. But you have to understand that the policy itself is just a couple $1,000s. The bulk of that is that we're collecting the taxes for the home. And depending on when you're closing, we may have to collect the taxes. So that could be $3,000 to $6,000. Shh, my doggy. And my kids are here at home. Brandy.
Well, we're gonna wrap it up, but yeah. If you have any questions about title, contact Ingrid. She's very approachable. She's very patient. She wants to explain as well. And you could call me or Carlos as well, and we'll go over. You do have people that are patient with first-time home buyers. That's not the case for everyone. So if you do call someone and you see that they don't have time for you, or they're not really explaining things, then seek out somebody else. You do have the right to choose your team that's going to work for you. But like I said, knowledge is power. That's why we're bringing these live streams to our first-time home buyers and investors as well. So
I want to thank Carlos and Yustamata for all you're doing, and it's great to educate. I mean, knowledge is power. Yes. And I want you to be powerful.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming onto the show. Carlos, you want to ask any questions?
Want to put my last one up?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, you didn't do that one.
I did.
That's me.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. I'm sorry. I didn't see it.
So one thing I want to just appreciate the fact that we talk about a lot of different topics. Of course, we talk about credit and all these other things that relate to the house, and a lot of people are familiar with those type of topics more so. Yes. So I appreciate the fact that we were able to take a moment and really focus in on probably the quietest and yet most important element of the whole home buyer's experience. The thing that actually tells you who owns anything.
Yeah.
And so, because without that, you have nothing.
Yeah. And it protects you from other people that might come along and say, "Hey, this is my house." So that's very important.
It's amazing how little the first-time home buyer knows about this, and it's a shame, because it's like you said, It is, because what are you buying? You're buying something, and without title insurance, that's the only thing that protects you.
Yeah.
How can you buy something of that magnitude and not be protected?
And
or know and understand it?
Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand, like they see the cost, but they don't understand why that has to be done. They don't fully understand, like the appraisal is another portion that a lot of people don't talk about. That's why I like bringing professionals like Ingrid that are very good in their field, so they could explain their little piece of the process, so you can understand everything thoroughly, because it's important for you to know for sure.
And this is just like the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more material that I would be happy to share with anybody. My number is down there. I am very accessible. I will help you and love to help you succeed. That was my main thing.
And she speaks Spanish.
Yes,
Spanish.
Soy hispana.
If you don't speak English,
no crean que por mi nombre Ingrid Schwartz, que yo no sé, yo soy dominicana cubana.
So,
because my name, nobody thinks that I'm Spanish, but I am very, very Spanish. Very
good.
So there you go. If you have questions, you don't understand English very well, ella habla español.
All right.
Aquí para servirle.
So much.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you, for coming on. We're basically anybody who is interested in learning more about RETAlk TV. It's also on YouTube and on Facebook, and also on Real Estate Movement. It's also on Facebook, and that's where we try to bring information to the masses, as well as talk about what's happening in the markets and things of that nature. So thank you all, and thank you, Ingrid, so much for having us host you and be able to share some information to the public.
I hope to do more of these, and like I said, anybody has any questions whatsoever, please feel free to contact me. It's my pleasure.
We're going to be putting some live seminars as well as more of these streams to bring to you live. Hopefully the COVID-19 situation gets resolved soon. But if not live, we'll definitely do Zoom or live stream. Thank you guys for joining us, and I love you all.
All right, thank you.
God bless everybody.
Take care, Ingrid. Thank you, Zio. And anybody who's got any questions, even if it's on replay, feel free to share this information. If you have someone who maybe in the focuses are trying to get a new home, feel free to share this so that they have that extra information. And one thing I did mess up in was I didn't do our intro, but it can also be our outro. Have a great day.